Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Pyromancer here and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And before we even start this video, I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons over on Patreon. You guys have made this so much easier for me to do. And without your support, I would simply not be able to be full-time here on YouTube like I am. So, straight from me to you, thanks. Now, let's jump into it. Today we're going to be talking about something that quite literally blew my mind. I know I say this a lot, but I want to show you guys something. Now, if you guys aren't aware, there is actually a role-playing game RPG manual for World of Warcraft for way back in the day, like way before World of Warcraft was even a thing, way before all this shit was actually developed into what it is now. They actually had a role-playing game and a set of rules, and they had descriptions for all of the Titan Pantheon. They had abilities and powers laid out for them. Now, the thing about this is that it's considered to be non-canon, and understandably so, considering that the manual itself is not written for the actual World of Warcraft. It can only be really considered for certain things, but I was shown this, and when I started to read the descriptions for what the Pantheon does, for what's actually going on, I was just rocked, because I've been trying to say for a long time that the Pantheon is using re-origination as an unnatural substitute for death, and it's not working. It's breaking the system. I'm 100% sure they took Argus the Unmaker a long time ago, something not mentioned in Chronicle, not mentioned anywhere because it's a secret, it's part of the twist of the story, and that they have basically fucked up the whole cycle of life and death in the universe by basically ordering him into a nice arcane form exactly how they want him. Notice that he's the only blue Titan. He's the only one completely covered as if he's made of pure arcane energy. This is a problem because while the other Titans use arcane energy, and they're apparently beings of the arcane and this and that, Argus is definitely special. The funny thing is that his re-origination modules in his fight do arcane damage, and then after Aman'Thul time blasts him and he turns black and red and he starts using Apocalypse's modules, his damage is shadow. So there's very clearly something going on here. And when I started to read this role-playing game thing, it all ties together. So let's start reading, let's check it out, let's see what they got. All right, so here we are on the role-playing game manual. Now this has a lot of different stuff in it, but again, I really want to focus primarily on the Titans. It's got stuff in here for Gul'dan, Aggramar Hellscream, Khadgar, Medivh, pretty much any major character you name, it's in here. Jaina Proudmoore, Thrall, Tyrande, Illyria. So this has all these major characters that we've been talking about, but I really want to focus on the Titans, which start on page 107. So we're going to jump down to page 107, and we're going to read certain things about the Titans. Now, the first Titan... The Titans, this is how it's described here. It reads, a generally aloof creator race. The Titans are now a subject of significant interest on Azeroth, at least for the dwarves. Their part in Azeroth's history lies far back in time, although Sargeras has of course taken a more active role in recent conflicts through the Burning Legion. Here, we present statistics for the two known races of Titans and for the members of the Pantheon, the leaders of the Titans, and some of the universe's most powerful entities. The figure is humanoid but gigantic, with gleaming metallic skin and a perfection of form that makes the heart ache. That is very interesting. Now let's actually get into the descriptions for the Titans, because they have the Titan races and everything like that. I don't think that it's terribly important, so we're going to actually start by just reading about the Titans themselves. So, the first one that it talks about is Aggramar, and they list him as Aggramar the Avenger. He, of course, has Taishilak, the same sword which he actually currently has in the game. He is actually... he's actually one of the most interesting ones because of how they describe him. So this is his background. Once Sargeras' lieutenant, Aggramar took over Sargeras' position when his superior changed sides. Aggramar is now in charge of combating the Burning Legion and eliminating its demonic taint. Very bland and unemotional, Aggramar is much more cool-headed than his former master. He follows orders and implements tactics in a firm, professional manner, performing all duties as they should be done. The only emotion he feels is hate. He despises Sargeras with every ounce of his metallic blood. His rage could cloud his judgment and be his doom someday. This is really interesting because we see later on that Sargeras has found a way to basically break Aggramar to his will. I think it's really weird how they say performing all duties as they should be done because of how I think of Aman'Thul. Aman'Thul is the leader of the Pantheon. For what reason? Simply because he was the first one that woke up, if that's even true. The reason that I say if that's even true is because Aman'Thul has time powers. So if Aman'Thul's the first one that woke up, Aman'Thul 1 didn't get ordered. No one ordered his planet. So this process that they're now doing to the other planets, this ordering that's going on, it's his idea, but that never happened to him. So there's some kind of weird disconnect going on here, you know what I mean? He's also basically just commanding them to do whatever he wants them to do. And this is very evident in the Argus the Unmaker fight, where none of them do anything without Aman'Thul's direct order, except Eonar. She's the only one that does something without his instruction. Now, going on to the next individual, it is Aman'Thul the Highfather. Now, some of their abilities can actually tell you about what, like, the type of character they are. And one of the most interesting things that Aman'Thul has is the ability to gate. And what this means is he can summon Eonar, Aggramar, or Norgannon to his side. Only him and Norgannon can do this. None of the other Titans can just summon the other ones up instantaneously. Only the two arcane masters are the ones that are capable of doing this. Now here's the background for Aman'Thul. Aman'Thul rules the Pantheon, the Titan High Council. He is the oldest and wisest of his ancient race. Once, Aman'Thul and his brother Sargeras oversaw the creation of innumerable worlds across the twisting nether, and gently guided countless races to greatness. Sargeras was Aman'Thul's closest advisor and supporter until he turned to evil. Now Aman'Thul looks to consort Eonar for counsel. Though the mysterious Highfather is rarely seen, every world feels his presence. This is really interesting and kind of weird. I will just kind of say this. The mysterious Highfather, right? And his consort Eonar. So I've had this idea in my head for a while that Aman'Thul is obsessed with life and creation and order, but not with fel and disorder and death and uncreation, right? And that's really where the problem comes in. He's trying to create this grandiose universe by perfect design where he can eliminate death out of the equation. And I'm going to have a lot more evidence to support this once we read what Sargeras' section is. So basically at this point we have Aggramar, who does everything orderly, just how he's supposed to, right? He's much more cool-headed and probably easier to control. Then you have Aman'Thul, the ruler of the Pantheon, which he's just the ruler because he's the first that woke up. I don't think he's the most powerful. I don't think he has the most grandiose abilities. I don't think he can create like the others can. All he's about is time and order. Now this can kind of be a problem. Let's move forward to Eonar the Lifebinder. As leader of the Titans, Aman'Thul is responsible for the creation of all worlds. Okay, this is still for Aman'Thul, including Azeroth. All those who revere the Titans ultimately pay their respects to the Highfather. On Azeroth, explorers have only recently uncovered the Titans' existence, aside from the Ironforged dwarves, and they don't venerate them, right? Dwarves, being a practical lot, showed their respect for the Titans by delving ever deeper into their mysteries. So I think this is interesting. Dwarves, being a practical lot, showed their respect for the Titans. So I think this is interesting that it's kind of highlighting them as, oh, you know, they're practical because of the fact that they show this respect to the Titans, and they do this extra thing. I don't know. It just kind of sounds biased towards the Titans when I'm reading this. Now, Eonar the Lifebinder. Let's read her background. Eonar is the physical representation of life, nature, and healing in the universe. She revels in the joy and bliss in all worlds. She is Aman'Thul's consort and had a long, bitter feud with his brother Sargeras before the latter's fall from grace. Her presence and personal strength exacerbated the conflict between Aman'Thul and his dark brother. When the Burning Legion first assaulted Azeroth, Eonar combated the demons by infusing the world's native dragons with the power to battle the Legion. She bequeathed a portion of her spirit to the red dragon Alexstrasza, who remains a potent life-giving force on Azeroth. Now, as far as her actual portfolio, Eonar's portfolio includes nature, healing, life, and, as she is a member of the Pantheon, creation and order. Dwarves and others who respect the Titans revere Eonar if they know of her. Azeroth's red dragons pay her respect homage. They honor her memory by constantly battling chaos and destruction. So this is kind of illustrating that there was some type of quarrel between Eonar and Sargeras. This is interesting because, like I've been saying, I think Sargeras understands the necessity for true and final death in the cosmos because it's just part of the cycle, right? As scary and incomprehensible as death is to us, it's just part of how things have to go. Yeah, it fucking sucks, but it is what it is, man. One day everybody's gonna die. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. So, with that being said, I think it's funny that the Titan of Life is the one that seems to have a problem with Sargeras. Now, I know that, again, this is RPG, but we're basically taking the original ideas that they had for the Pantheon and kind of applying that to the game universe in what I've already been speculating. Now, when I first read through this, I was literally blown the fuck away at Aman'Thul, Aggramar, some of the verbiage and words that they use to describe these characters. But it gets even a little more weird. Now we have Golganneth the Thunderer. Creator of the seas and skies, Golganneth is the father of Azeroth's sea giants and loves flying and swimming creatures above all else. He has a massive laugh, which he uses often, and a fine sense of humor. Aman'Thul's mighty son, Golganneth is a diligent, energetic titan who takes great joy in all he does. He revels most of all in storm and in the rage of the winds. Though he exists to bring order, of all the titans, he secretly loves the fury of nature. When angered, he is truly frightening. And his portfolio includes Golganneth influences the seas and skies and their native beings. Azeroth's sea giants venerate Golganneth and hold small ceremonies several times a year in his honor. These ceremonies involve the crafting and sounding of musical horns and the feeding of small fish. Now, Golganneth isn't terribly interesting. He does have the thunder and lightning, obviously the sea and sky abilities, so that's not terribly surprising, given that he comes from Aman'Thul. We do see, however, that Aman'Thul in some of his older RPG art is holding this staff of, like, lightning. However, in the Argus the Unmaker fight, perhaps it's because we're in space. That wouldn't really make any sense because, well, it's World of Warcraft anyway. Aman'Thul shows no power of lightning at all. So I'm kind of curious as to where exactly he did get that lightning bolt. I do heavily equate him to the Greek mythology Zeus, but regardless, I have to wonder if Aman'Thul actually basically gave birth to Golganneth, whether that's with Eonar or what, and then took lightning from him. Regardless, let's move on. Khaz'goroth the Shaper. His background is the shaper of mountains and canyons. Khaz'goroth is the ultimate craftsman. He is a master of many arts and disciplines. With Eonar's help, he created Azeroth's dwarfs, trogs, and perhaps mountain giants. He crafted the mountains in which the Ironforged dwarves dwell. Their kingdom's name, Khaz-Modan, means Mountains of Khaz, or Khaz'goroth. A fiery, brooding entity, Khaz'goroth loves working at his forge and listening to the tales of heroism and valor. Now, this is really interesting because this sounds to me more like something you'd equate with Odin. Now, the thing is that Odin is allegedly the prime designate given his powers by Aman'Thul. The interesting thing is again, Odin has light abilities. He's more of a warrior, and Aman'Thul doesn't really seem to be that way. I didn't see Aman'Thul use any light-based abilities in the Seat of the Pantheon fight. The only thing that Aman'Thul ever uses during that fight is commanding the others and time. He never uses anything like that. So part of me has to wonder if Odin is actually Aman'Thul's keeper, but that's beside the point. More on Khaz'goroth in his portfolio. Khaz'goroth's portfolio encompasses earth, stone, metal, dwarves, trogs, mountains, and craftsmanship. Most Ironforged dwarves know that the Titans created them, but do not know exactly which Titan. So Khaz'goroth receives little veneration. As the dwarves uncover more titanic mysteries, they will undoubtedly find ways to revere their creator. Now here's where we get to the interesting ones. Norgannon is where stuff starts to get a little bit sketchy, because Norgannon's one of the most interesting titans to me. It's been pointed out to me several times that he looks almost like ghost-faced. His eyes are just whited out. He's like an old, kind of decrepit kind of looking man. He's just wearing a robe. He doesn't say anything during the Aman'Thul fight. And let's read about what it has to say about Norgannon. The blank expression on his platinum skin's face is unreadable. Arcane power emanates from him like a tangible force, making skin prickle and hair stand on end. That's creepy already. Lord of Mysteries and Master of Arcane Magic, Norgannon is the ultimate keeper of secrets. That's not good, because this motherfucker is like Aman'Thul's right-hand man. I'm like pretty sure of this. Though Titans usually avoid the arcane's corrupting nature, Aman'Thul charged the implacable or implicable, whichever that is, Norgannon to catalog all spells and magical currents in the universe. The Dreamweaver's knowledge will, hopefully, enable the Titans to better understand and defeat the Burning Legion and their other enemies. Norgannon knows almost everything and is utterly passionless. He is the definitive magical historian. Now, people have been asking me for a while, Pyromancer, do you think any one character specifically wrote the Chronicle books? To be honest with you, no. It's not written in a first-person manner in any way. However, if there is some type of objective record keeping being done by a character or being in the cosmos, I think it's probably Norgannon. If there's any character that could have possibly written Chronicle, I think it's probably Norgannon. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to read his combat stuff. Against serious opposition, Norgannon's first act is to gate in additional Titans, usually Eonar, Aggramar, and Aman'Thul, who in turn calls Golganneth. So this is kind of interesting. Again, we're seeing this ability to gate Titans in. He can basically bring other Titans right in as soon as he wants. And the only other Titan that can do this is Aman'Thul. So again, we have these two guys at the tippy top of the Pantheon that can basically order and command all these others around. And I don't even know how much of a choice these other Titans have, to be honest with you. But we're still not even at the most crazy part. Let's read Norgannon's portfolio. Then we're going to read about Sargeras the Destroyer. Norgannon's portfolio includes arcane magic, knowledge, secrets, and mysteries. Though his name is generally unknown on Azeroth so far, spellcasters on many worlds revere this paragon of their craft. Some whisper his name whenever they cast a spell, while others beseech his protection against the corruption of the arcane. And I think this is funny because a lot of people say that Fel is really corruptive, right? Fel and Chaos, the Burning Legion's magic is the real corruptive shit. But originally, in the RPG, they're going on the premise that Arcane is actually very corruptive. And we see this really evident in the game and what we see it do to the Nightborn. What we've seen it do to, elves in general. Anyone who gets really into the arcane power seems to either go fucking crazy, like Malygos. I know that a lot of that was because of Deathwing, the Destroyer. But it's so weird, man. It's so weird. Let's move on. This is where I really had my mind just kind of blown when we get to Sargeras. Because they call him the Destroyer. And then we have Deathwing, the Destroyer. And I know, you guys, I know that Deathwing has apparently been spoken to by the old gods, right? From the demon soul. But what if it wasn't? What if Deathwing doesn't get his power from the old gods? The reason that I say this is when you look at Deathwing, while he does have tendrils come up out of him and stuff like that, especially when we fight him at the Maelstrom, he's burning bright magmus fire, right? It's even yellow and orange to an extent, exactly like what Gul'dan has, exactly like what Argus looked like when he first got summoned in the cutscene, exactly what Sargeras looks like. And there's literally a whisper from the old gods, from Il'gynoth, that says, from the earth he draws strength. Our earth, our strength. And then, like I've mentioned before, when you go into the Stonecore dungeon, at the very end, which is down in Deepholm, by the way, at the Temple of the Earth, there's this magmus, bright, kind of light fire down there. And the Twilight Cultists down there are looking to utilize that in order to accomplish their goals for the old gods, right? So this is very strange. It's funny because Deathwing talks to Alexstrasza about how he has new gifts. Alexstrasza says to him, I see a hollow metal shell of a once great ally and the precious gift of the Titans wasted. And he said, well, let me show you my new gifts bestowed to me by this world's true masters. And then he breathes this magma fire on Alexstrasza. Now, the thing about Sargeras is this. This being is huge almost beyond comprehension and is fully clad in a burning suit of molten black armor. Wildly dancing flames surround its head and form a thick mass of hair and a sweeping beard. A pair of horns extends from the being's forehead and a burning tail sweeps behind, leaving a trail of glowing embers in its wake. One of its arms hefts a massive, etched lance that is lined with a series of viciously hooked barbs. It's funny because even their description for Sargeras is the same. And look at the artwork for Sargeras. He's even sticking a sword into a planet. You see this right here? He looks pretty much just like he does when we saw him in the game. And look at that. Literally driving the sword into the planet like we just saw happen. And then what are these things? He's got like two little wind serpents next to him. A little black one and a white one. But if this is a planet... What if these are moons? I've been talking about for a while how I think Y'Shaarj could be up in a moon. Fuck, it could be Elune in Y'Shaarj in one moon and then one in the other. It could be Hakkar in Elune as a wind serpent. We don't know what Elune is, but there's speculation she could be Aloa. There's speculation she could be many different things, but I found this really interesting that there just happen to be wind serpents right here. We're looking at potentially having the return of Hakkar at some point in BFA, whether Muffinus wants to admit that he's related to Gahun in any way is irrelevant. But again, let's read the craziest part. The background on Sargeras is nuts. Once the greatest warrior in the entire pantheon of Titans, Sargeras is now completely insane and devoted to the pursuit of absolute destruction. Initially, the Titans elected him to be their primary defense against the demon races, and he valiantly fought against the dark beings for several millennia. However, after witnessing the boundless depths of the demon's evil and hate, Sargeras began to despair of his task and gradually slipped into a brooding depression. He was unable to comprehend the nature of such pure evil and came to blame the Titans for what he considered to be their flawed pursuit of false order. Sargeras concluded that chaos and depravity were the only true forces in the universe and angrily exiled himself from the ranks of the Titans forever. That actually happened. Sargeras roamed the twisting nether for thousands of years, freeing the many demon races that he had previously hunted down and imprisoned. He bound the newly released demons to his will and used them to construct an army of massive proportions, one that eventually became known as the Burning Legion. Sargeras chose two champions from the ranks of his followers, Kil'jaeden the Deceiver and Aggramar the Defiler. Convinced that the Titans' ordering of the universe was unnatural and ultimately responsible for the corrupted nature of the demons, Sargeras decided to undo the work of the Titans throughout the universe. To undo the work of the Titans throughout the universe. The only way that he could correct their mistakes was to destroy all of the worlds that the Titans had shaped and brought order to so long ago. His forces swept from world to world, destroying everything in their path. They eventually became aware of the young world of Azeroth due to the Night Elf's reckless use of arcane magic, which is true, and Sargeras began to hunger for the limitless energies of the Well of Eternity. Now, this is interesting because it really feeds into these ideas that I have been speculating on over the last couple months. And as crazy as people want to call it, this is the original ideas that the developers had for the Titans. I didn't even know this existed until like 2 days ago. So I'm sitting here thinking, man, it really seems like Sargeras understands that death is part of the natural cycle and that this re-origination bullshit that the Pantheon has been doing is not working. And then I get shown this, and it's literally saying the same thing. about how the Titans' ordering of the universe was unnatural and it was responsible for the corrupted nature of the demons, and that Sargeras understood this and exiled himself directly from them. They didn't kick him out. It doesn't even say that they kicked him out in Chronicle. He left of his own accord. Even after killing a Titan, killing that world soul, the Titan Pantheon did not exile Sargeras. That is not true. He just left. He said, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to go do my own thing. What you guys are doing is not working. And I just think that it is hilariously ironic that the RPG manual, the original ideas that they came up for the Titans still seem to be relatively accurate for the current game. You know, what's funny is if you read through this, you can actually look at the different abilities and attacks that each of these characters have, and they still actually use them. Things like the Dreamweaver's Path and all of those different types of things, the different torments of the Titans during the Coven of Shavara scenario and Taurus the Burning Throne, they still have a shitload of the same abilities. So they're sticking very, very true to the original RPG ideas. Let's read the portfolio for Sargeras. This is the last thing. Sargeras' portfolio has changed over the millennia, which is interesting. While he once served his race as guardian and protector, he is now the Titans' worst enemy. Sargeras works to undo what the Titans have strived for ages to achieve. Now understand, they call him the Destroyer, but undoing something, unmaking something, is not necessarily completely, ruining it, erasing it. He's just trying to fix the mistakes that the other Titans have already made. And we've been saying for a while, if Sargeras really wanted to destroy Azeroth, if that was true, he would have raised that sword with two hands and cut that motherfucker right in half when he manifested. But he didn't do that. He stuck the sword in very deliberately, even if he didn't want to do it. He clearly didn't want to destroy the whole world. It says here, he is now the master of all that is evil and demonic, even though we've been shown that demonic doesn't necessarily equate one-to-one to evil. It's a bullshit bias that's kind of thrown in your face because the Titans don't like the demons. They don't like the disorder. And so Aman'Thul and his puppets continue to try to strive for this order that they've tried to accomplish, and it's not working. The reason for this is because, once again, what they did to Argus, who is at no point mentioned in this book at all. At all. I'm going to come through and read this more, specifically cosmology, because I can't wait to see what it has to say in there. I haven't even read that one. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this right away. Now, I've brought it up several times in this video, but I know that this stuff is not considered canonical by the general player base. But that doesn't mean that you can't go back and see the inspiration, see what they originally had planned for these characters, and kind of take that and relate it to what we've already been speculating. Man, this is crazy because this is some of the most damning fucking evidence of some of my theories so far. It literally aligns with exactly what what they said back in the RPG. And man, I honestly can't wait to see what else I find in here. But yeah, you guys, I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know with a comment in the comment section down below if you think that this means anything at all, what you find interesting about this. If anything, if you have any thoughts, just let me know. Like the video if you like the video. Of course, that is the best way to let me know if you did enjoy the content. If you guys don't know, I do have a Twitter, Twitch, and a Patreon page, which you will always find links to down in my description box below. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, hit that notification bell for notifications, because YouTube has been kind of messing up lately and still not putting every video in the sub box. So I don't know, you guys, but that's pretty much it. I love and appreciate you guys very much. Stay awesome. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.